Hello, my fellow humans. Today, we're diving deep into the world of resilience and transformation with a true warrior of life. Join me in welcoming Martin Salama, the architect of the Warrior's Life Code and creator of the L.I.F.E acronym. Martin's journey from financial ruin to becoming a transformational coach is nothing short of inspiring. He'll share insights on overcoming adversity, finding purpose, and living an incredible, full every day. Get ready for some powerful lessons on rebuilding your life and discovering your inner warrior. Let's dive in. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. Today we have Martin Salama, the architect of the Warrior's Life Code. Welcome, Martin, to our show today.
Thank you, Justin. I'm so excited to be here with you, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I'd love to know more about yourself and how you came up with the Warrior Life Code.
All right. It's all good, man. All good. So, as you said, I'm the architect of the Warriors Life Code. That's what I'm known as. And for me, life is an acronym that I created in this instance to mean live incredibly full every day.
That's good.
And for me, it has dual meaning. To be living incredibly full every day, you want to have a happy life, but you also want it to be meaningful.
Yeah.
Because you could be happy without any meaning, and you could have a meaningful life and not be happy.
Ooh, see it every day.
Yeah. So to me, happy life means that you self-love, self-care, even selfish. Doing things, working out, finding time for yourself, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is meaningful. To me, meaningful is where the selfless comes in. What are you doing for others, your family, your community, the world? And are you making a difference?
I really like that. That's really beautiful. It's like people finding their purpose. If you don't have a purpose, you can't just go through life and you're just going every which way and you're not really figuring out what to do and how to help yourself and other people.
Right.
I would love to know more about how you came up with that code. What led you up to this until now?
How about if I jump back about almost 17 years ago to 2008? Well, for me, my wife and I were working on a project for about 5 years, and we were in the process of building in real estate a multi-million-dollar tennis and health club down by the Jersey Shore. And it took us 5 years. As you know, in real estate, nothing goes easy. You got to find the land. You got to make sure it's feasible, that you can do a feasibility study. Then you got to get the architects involved and the engineers. And then the city.
Permits,
right? So going through all these things and going back and redesigning and fixing. And just as we're ready to go, they go, oh, yeah, we want you to get a civil engineer involved and see how is it going to affect the parking? Do you have enough parking? And how is it going to affect the traffic? So I'm like, oh, great, here we go again. And all this time, I'm like, I'm pumping money into this. But luckily, 2005, 2006, 2007, as you know, if you're in real estate, the banks were handing over money as if you were in Costco, meeting one of the old ladies on the end of the aisle giving out samples.
You get money.
Oprah style. You get money. So I'd go back, I'd refi my properties, my house, whatever. And I would also have investors and family that lent me money. And I was like, okay, now I'm about $3.5 million into this project. And we finally get all the approvals in the summer of 2008. And over the years, whenever I went to the bank, they're like, yeah, we love this project. We can't wait for it to get all the approvals. We think you got something great here. It was a $15 million build out. So here I am, trudging ahead. Can't wait. Go to the bank. They're like, yeah, we're not lending right now. What the? Shut the front door. What the heck happened? So they go, yeah, things are slowing down. Things are happening. Little did I know that 2 months later, a month later, September 2008, Bernie Madoff, the subprime loans, the entire financial world turns like upside down. And
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, we're not lending anybody anything. And just like that, I was broke. I lost everything. And I stopped paying my mortgage, stopped paying my car payments. A few months later, my son says, Dad, look outside. They were towing away my BMW. Repossessed, man. Repo man.
Man, I've been there.
Yeah, no, I've only been there once. Once was enough for me.
Nope, never again.
Right? I could say this now, but luckily I lived in a state of New Jersey that had so many houses foreclosed on that they kind of like let us live in it for a long time before they came back and said, oh, yeah, we forgot about you.
It's okay.
And, I talked to my lawyer during this time. I'm like, why aren't they coming after me? They have the foreclosure notice. He's like, they'd rather you in it paying nothing than in a market that's not selling anything, not doing anything. They'd be stuck with it. So I'm like, all right, fine. And that went on for like 7 or 8 years, 7 or 8 years.
Dude,
But, but it took me about a year to get out of a depression that I was in. Oh, and looking back now, it was obviously a situational depression. But that
yeah.
doesn't matter. At the time when I was in it, I didn't feel very good.
Deep, dark, devilish place.
Yeah. Yeah. So it took me about a year, and I finally said, okay, what am I going to do now? I have to rebuild myself. And I thought about it. Well, since I'm starting from scratch, I never liked being a businessman. Now everybody seems to call them entrepreneurs. Back in my
What
day,
do you
we were
mean?
businessmen. And I said, let me think what I want to do. Thought about the things I like doing. And one of them was I was always involved in community events. I was always one of the leaders. People would
Ooh.
come to me and go, oh, you're the president of this, you do this. I don't want to do what you're doing. I was like, good. I don't want you to do what I'm doing. I want you to do what you're good at. And I would talk them through it, and I'd find out where they were good and what their potential was and put them there. And I figured out that I was coaching them.
That's powerful right there.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to start coaching. Look around, find a great coaching school, start going there. I start planning to go there. And about 2 months, and by the way, I had no money, right? I go to the coaching, they go, it grows this much. I go, I don't got it. They go, well, go get financing. I'm like, I ain't going to get financing. My scores are in the toilet. I walked into the CFO's office and I said, look, I'll make you a deal. Let's come up with a number that I could pay every month, and I'll pay it. We're not going to get it for the financing, get it directly from me. And he said, you got a deal, except I'm not going to give you the certification until you pay it all off. No matter how long it takes for you to get, no matter how fast you graduate, it doesn't matter. Like, makes sense. I accept that. So we did that. And I'm proud to say I paid it off in time. But, that was fantastic. But now, about 2 months before it was time to start, is my 24th wedding anniversary. And Justin, I got to say, I got a very interesting gift that year from my wife.
What is it?
She said, I want a divorce.
Ooh, no, she didn't.
She did. I'm like thinking about it a lot now. Like, there were 364 other days of the year she could have asked for a divorce.
That was so strategically planned.
She gave me an itch, and she was the bee before the itch.
Woo!
No, I'm kidding, man. Luckily now I have a pretty decent relationship. But looking back now, it's probably, other than our children, it was probably the best gift she ever gave me. At the time, it did not feel like that.
Yes.
It didn't feel like anything like that. But I made a decision right there that I was still going to go through with going through coaching school. And I think God was, saying, oh, you want to do that? Let's make sure you're really down, really rock bottom. And at the time when she said it to me, I said, why does everything keep happening to me? And now I realize that statement is kind of why I was where I was. Because by saying everything keeps happening to me, I'm looking to blame everybody else.
Yes.
Now I say things happen through me.
Ooh,
A lot of people say things happen for me. It's a little selfish. I don't think God's up there working specifically for them.
But through you, that's powerful. That's a turnaround right there.
Yeah. So I started to do things with that mindset and understanding. And then I started going through coaching. This I got from going through coaching school. And when I got finished with coaching school, the first thing I said was, okay, what do I want to do now? What kind of coach do I want to be? And I realized that I was going through my divorce while I was going through coaching. training. And it was the coach training that probably got me through it that much faster.
I see that.
So I decided to become a divorce recovery coach.
That works out. You went through it. You were going through it. You understood what it did to you while training and learning that mindset with it. It was kind of like, I wouldn't say it was meant to be, but it was kind of meant to be.
Right, exactly. I wouldn't take back anything that's happened to me over the last 12, 15 years. I just wouldn't.
Like in retrospect, you can look back at it now, be like, I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it really moved. And if I get nothing ever out of coaching, like if I never get another coaching client, it changed my life going through coach training.
100%.
Yeah. So here I am. I'm going through life and whatever. And I did this for a few years and I was liking it. And I started to evolve.
What?
Right. Believe it or not. And I was working out, exercising, eating better, and all that. And I got to tell you, Justin, if you haven't figured it out yet, because I look around a lot, I'm ADHD.
What? You are? That's so weird. Squirrel. Weird, right? I mean, I'm on the spectrum and I understand an ADD.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah. So imagine an ADHD guy in his 50s, okay, late 40s, early 50s, meditating. Even with the headspace guided meditation, getting through 10 minutes, I was like, how do people think about nothing in this time?
Like the silence, shut up already.
Exactly. I got to sleep with the TV on because if there's no TV on, the silence is deafening. Even today.
It's so loud.
And one of these times when I was meditating, I had this download of information that I loved my life and where I was going. I was dating. I was having a great time in my life. I was really on all cylinders, really having a great life. So I finished my meditation, 10-minute meditation. I wrote for 2 hours. And out of that came the word life, L-I.F.E, live incredibly full every day. Because that's what I wanted to show people what to do.
That is a beautiful story. I love how it led up to you creating life. Like that acronym.
Thank you so much.
How long have you been doing coaching for now?
Well, I guess I got certified in 2011, so let's say 14 years.
So you do have to be certified to be a coach, or is it not a prerequisite? Or
it's not a prerequisite, but I believe that the ones who go through coaching have the better skills. You know, people say, "Oh yeah, I went to a weekend retreat and I became a coach." It took me close to a year to get my certification.
I get that. That's kind of like people saying, "Yeah, I'm a leader, I'm a CEO," but what have you done for other people to be a leader?
Right.
Oh,
would you rather go to
company?
You need surgery. Would you rather go to a surgeon or to the eye doctor, to the optician?
Oh, the eye doctor, duh. He can see what he's doing.
I'd rather go to the ophthalmologist than the optician.
Right? That doesn't make sense. I think you've been really enjoying coaching people in their lives, changing their lives.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm curious, through your program you have with people, like how can you walk me through a little bit of the process, how you help them achieve their leadership status and themselves in their life?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me open up something I'm going to read to you. I wasn't planning on doing this, but works out fine, right? Basically, I'm not able to find it as quick as I thought I was going to find it, but I help people, men specifically right now, shift that mindset that they have and come up with really what's going on in their lives and help them figure out how to move forward. Or like a proven system designed to help men break free from feeling stuck, regain confidence, and take ownership of their life. It's not just motivation, it's a structured path to leadership and purpose.
Ooh, I like that. That's very powerful.
All right, so it's got a balance of self-mastery, leadership, faith, grit, happiness, and meaning. We talked about that. And, you know, with a clear framework and all that stuff.
I feel that like that is very important in so many of our lives. Not only divorce, but just having the ability to go through that healing.
I've gone beyond just divorce. That's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened.
Because
I find that right now my target audience, the guys who are wanting to hear from me, are in their 20s and 30s.
Ooh.
They're looking for that guy who's been through the muck and mire and still standing. Right? I don't mean to put this way, but I'm 62 now. So it's the fatherly advice. It's the stories of my life and how I've taken them, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I've had some ugly come into my life and shape me and help me figure things out. For me, for example, I used to be, one of the things I learned very early on in the process of going through coach training, like before I went, they said, read a couple of the books on this list. They sent me a list of books, and one of them was a book called The Four Agreements.
Ooh, I read that. Good book.
Right.
Good
So
book.
for me, when I read the second agreement, don't take anything personally, I felt like Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of that book, was talking to me directly and telling me a secret that everybody had been telling me my entire life, that you take everything personally. And as a result, what I came from learning from that as I went through coach training was, as a result of my taking things personally, was that I was a people pleaser, that I was a control freak. And I needed the recognition. I needed people to say, hey, Martin, you're doing a great job, to feed that people pleaser. And when all those things weren't happening, then it became me freaking out. I had a very short temper.
I get that. I feel that. I've been there.
So I had to teach myself through what I learned in coaching. So I came up with a system of how to help people go from reacting, which is what I was doing, to responding.
Ooh, that's
And
powerful.
taking control of their emotion instead of their emotions controlling them.
That's how you build great emotional intelligence.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really so much of the foundation of my business, of my coaching, is helping people understand emotional intelligence, helping them understand, am I taking this personally? Is it about me? Or is it about them having a bad day and they just happen to be dumping on me at that moment? And
Right?
and here's a great one. You're going to love this. For me, someone would come to talk to me, specifically my ex-wife. I could tell you stories about her. One in particular, if she'd call me up during the divorce process with something going on with our kids or something, and she'd go, I don't want to fight, but now to me, what I heard was, let's get ready to rumble. Because she said, I don't want to fight. So she hit the button. She pushed the button in me. And I would,
Trigger warning. Trigger warning.
exactly. So I knew I was going to get into a confrontation with her. So I was ready for it, and I would freak out with whatever she said. And she'd say, but I told you I didn't want to fight. So she already had laid the ground. Now, did she do it on purpose? Maybe, maybe not. But what I learned was I had to stop going into confrontations and start having conversations.
Feel like you're kind of talking to younger me right now. 20-year-old me. I see how when you were talking earlier too about these 20-something men are looking up to you, you're kind of that older warrior that's been through it. I said the warrior's code. And they're looking for someone to look up to help guide them, because there are a lot of men nowadays that are kind of just lost, have no one to really look up to.
Exactly.
There's a couple of figures here and there, but they're not spitting out the right information. You know, they're telling them how they're giving them information, but not telling them how to get there. Not giving like a roadmap, things you can do to change and to be successful and succeed with your life.
100%. The how is so important. But before that how, I bring in the why. Okay.
Ooh.
And for me, the why is another acronym. What's hurting you?
Yeah, when you come up with these, what's hurting you?
What's hurting you? What's eating you up inside? What's keeping you up at night? What's bothering you that's keeping you from doing what you think you can do? Is it somebody? Is it yourself? What is it? Let's figure it out. And if it's somebody, why is that somebody doing that to you?
It can be a deep, deep, dark conversation sometimes.
Yeah, but most of the times it's very necessary, because you need to pull back the layers of the onion.
I was just thinking that.
Right.
Yes.
So that was me. That's how I started. So here I am. I'm doing this life coach stuff. And I got to say, I started dating, was having a great life. And when I go out on dates, right, I didn't start dating until I felt good about myself. Because I knew going through coach training that the one thing I wanted to make sure was I wasn't going to marry the woman I was married to again in another body.
Ooh, I feel that right now with myself. That scares me.
right? So I had to understand, what was it about this woman that attracted me? And what was it about her that I felt would help me in my comfort zone?
Ooh.
Because looking back now, we did not have the right values. Our values were not aligned, and we were in a very codependent relationship. And a lot of that had to do with my people-pleasing mentality, that default that I had. And I could blame her about it, but it was about me not understanding that no is a one-word sentence.
And you can only take responsibility for your part, no matter
Right?
what
And
anyone
it's a
else
full
did.
sentence. When you say no, that's a full sentence. Right? So I start dating, and as I'm dating these women, I'm asking them questions about their values in a very conversational way. But really what I'm doing is I'm fact-finding. Is this the woman that I want to continue to date? Right? I happen to have just watched this crazy show on Netflix called Love is Blind.
Wait, is that on the island?
No, this is the one where they're each in pods and they don't see each other until he asks her to marry her. And he's never seen what she looks like. So I was kind of doing that. I was learning about the people. Of course, I was seeing the woman, but I was learning her. I was learning about her emotional state, her values, and all these things. And, I go out on a date now. They'll go on 2 dates with somebody now. And one day I was set up with this woman, and I go out on the dates and she's checking off all the boxes. Go out again. She's checking the boxes. About a month into it, I turned to her. I said, I got to tell you something, Sarita. And I don't need to hear it from you, but I'm falling in love with you because I love who you are and I love you see me as I am.
Damn. Ooh, see, I needed to hear that today.
Yeah. God brings you what you need when you need it.
I'm going to do a similar thing with the whole dating life and try and figure out what I'm looking for, what questions to ask, so I can do what you said, try to fine tune that checkbox, I guess you could say, to make sure I'm with the right person.
Right. And 2 weeks later, she told me she loved me. And June will be married 7 years.
Woo! So I guess clearly it worked, and it works if you work it.
Right. So here we are. Now, luckily, when 2020 hit and that crazy thing happened in the world, I wasn't alone in my own house. I was married and with her kids, and actually, eventually, one of my kids came to stay with us for a while during COVID. But yeah, and it was March when it started, right? Actually, it was
March,
March 10th, March 11th, like something around there.
Wow, yeah.
So it was March, and they tell, it's only going to be like 2-3 weeks. We're going to lock you down, and then everything's going to be great.
It was so awesome. Let me tell you, I don't know about you, but I enjoyed it greatly.
Me too. No, I got to tell you, I found myself getting out every single day. I'd go to the supermarket. Somebody had to buy the food. We had to eat. I'd wear a mask. I'd put gloves on. Remember in the beginning when they thought everything was contaminated, you had to wear gloves? I was actually at a conference when they first started to shut down the world in California, and I live in New York. So when I came back on Sunday, they still had flights. My flight was like half empty, and they upgraded me to Comfort Plus and all this stuff. I walk into the house and my wife tells me, take off your clothes. I'm like, yeah, baby. She goes, no, take your clothes off, throw them in the washer, and sleep somewhere else. This lockdown, they said 2-3 weeks, and it lasted much longer than that.
Yeah.
So now it's May, right? And I turn to my wife. I go, let's go to Manhattan. Let's go to the city. Let's take your kids. Let's take the kids and go to the city. So we drive to New York City. Now, Justin, I don't know about you, but I live in New York my whole life. And driving down Fifth Avenue could take forever with the traffic. Well, that day I drove straight down Fifth Avenue without missing a traffic light.
I've seen some photos. I've seen some photos of that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm looking around. I'm saying, where is everybody? Wear your masks. Stay 6 feet apart. Central Park was like a ghost park.
Where did they all go?
Yeah. So I'm freaking out. I'm like, this is crazy. And I realized that everybody was worried about everything. And that over the last 5-6 years of my own, 7 years of my own journey, I had learned, 10, 12 years actually, I had learned that that was the biggest problem. I was worrying about everything. Now, there's a difference between worrying and concerning, right? Worry
Yeah.
means, oh, the sky is falling and what's somebody going to do about it? Concern is, what am I going to do about it, right? And how am I going to make this better? So I got home, I got onto Facebook and I said, guys, I get it. I know why you're worried. And I realized that I wasn't worried. So I said, I'm going to show you how to go from being a worrier to a warrior. That's where the warrior's life code came in.
That's why everyone's kind of like, hey, I'm 20 years old. I need help.
Right. Exactly.
You want to be warriors too.
And since then, I've written a book. I've put together my course, and they're called Warrior to Warrior.
We'll definitely put that in the show notes as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. That is amazing. And I remember back in 2020, man, for some different times. I didn't get through them that well, but I got through it now. So like, it was definitely some hard times.
Yeah, man. Look, I get it. There was a lot going on. We lost people.
I remember being in the house, out really partying every day, music, just trying to get through it. We couldn't go to the club, couldn't go to the parties, couldn't go out. That was a different time in my life, obviously. Give me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it.
Anyway, so that's me. That's where, well, now this is where I want to help men, and well, do women too, absolutely. I mean, coach women, not do women.
And we're all human beings that need help.
Right.
You're connecting with your tribe of people.
Right. And really it comes down to changing their mindset from lack to abundance, from I can't to how can I, from self-conscious to self-aware.
That's way more powerful than the crap that's going on right now with this red pill, blue pill. I don't know if you heard about that, but it's fucking ridiculous. Don't take any of the pills. Like, come on. It's really hard and tough sometimes for people to get to that point to be like, I need to reach out to someone, or who do I reach out to? Because people are so like proud of their ego, and they really don't realize that they need help before they have to go through something so tragic or detrimental to happen to them to wake them up and be like, my God, if I don't get help, I'm going to die, or something else,
Right. Absolutely. And that's where to the rubber hits the road is when they realize, okay, now that I'm here, where am I going? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And for me, I started off in a very simple way. You got to have three things: admission, cleansing, and celebration. Admission is admitting that what I'm doing isn't working and I got to change it. It could be whatever is in your life. If I'm still, why am I miserable? Well, this isn't going on. This isn't happening. This is going on. Okay, what am I doing about it? That's the cleansing part. What am I going to do? How am I going to do the thing? What's the steps in between? Let's say somebody says, I'm 100 pounds overweight. I want to lose 100 pounds. I want to lose it in 2 weeks. It's not possible. We know that. Even with the shots that they've been given these days.
Ozempic or whatever.
Right, Wegovy, all that stuff. It's not possible. Okay? But and also when you do that, you got to make some other changes as well.
Yes.
So that's the first step, admitting I got to change something. The cleansing is, okay, what's my plan to get me there? All right? Am I going to do this? I'm going to eat better. I'm going to work out. And then the celebration is recognizing it's not going to take me 2 weeks. It may take me 6 months or a year, but I'm going to lose 5 pounds. And when I lose 5 pounds, I'm going to celebrate that. Celebrate the little victories. Michael Jordan said, I'm not a big shot.
Yeah.
I just made a lot of little shots.
That's what we forget to do sometimes. We have our eye on such the prize that's so far away, and it's so far that we kind of forget and we get kind of distracted. We're like, oh, well, now I want to do this now. That's when we kind of get really off track.
Right.
But those little wins, that really does help. Example, like when you wake up in the morning, just making your bed. That's a little win.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And that,
Yeah.
that leads to things that I do in my program. Like, first we start with that admission, cleansing, and celebration. Admit the things. Let's go. Where do you want to go? And then things like what I call the cycle of A's. 3-letter A's. And it's in a cycle. Ask for what you want. It could be as simple as I came up with an idea just now. Right? How many times do you hear people say, I thought of that, and that guy's a billionaire now? Well, he did something about it. What did you do about it?
He took action.
That's A. That's the second one. Act. Action. And then the last one brings it all together, and it's the toughest one. It's called attitude. You have to have the mindset that I don't care about the outcome. I'm not emotionally attached to the outcome.
Now, that can be a very hard one to wrap your mind around, pun intended.
Yes, it will be. It is definitely a hard one to wrap your mind around.
But you get people to that, because sometimes people are going to be fighting you tooth and nail on the way there.
Well, if I tell you my
Fighting
secret now,
themselves.
Justin, nobody's going to want to work with me.
So what's your secret? I'll keep it secret.
No,
Oh, is this recording?
it's really about understanding that just because this is your plan, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the way it's going to go.
Ooh, 100%.
Right? You know, man plans and God laughs. And here's the funny thing people tell me all the time. I prayed to God and he didn't answer. I say, schmuck. He answered. He said no.
Well, I didn't hear anything.
He's telling you that's not what he's got in mind for you. You got to make a course correction. So when you're emotionally attached to the outcome, you're holding yourself back from what you need to do to get to the end.
So I have a question with that, because sometimes, say that someone is so driven, they have their eye on the prize, they know what they want, where they want to get it. But on that road to get there, there'll be many obstacles. But how do you know which obstacles are saying no, which ones are saying yes? Because they still have to have that discipline to go forward and keep going.
Right.
But when do they know when to go left or go right?
It's tough. It's tough, but it's trial and error. Right? You put it out there, you go, okay, let's see what happens if this works. But you also got to be ready to say, it's not working. And I'm willing to cut my losses and change direction.
But it's like, yeah, but when is that? After 3 tries, 4 tries, 100 tries?
I wish there was a specific
Did I
answer.
not try hard enough?
Right. It's maybe the approach.
Okay.
Each one is a whole other ball of wax that's got to be unwound and figured out, why isn't it working? Where isn't it working? How come? And am I willing to change so that I can get it to work?
I feel like that's kind of that you're saying about the mindset between an entrepreneurial mindset, which actually knows how to do that, or just kind of a 9-to-5 mindset. Where you just sit there, let things happen to you as they're going.
Right. It'll happen through
having
you.
that shift.
Right.
That's very powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Damn. It's amazing how people are able to, like, you're able to get this understanding, then create a program and be able to help others with it. But also it's so dynamic. It's not static because everyone's so different.
Right.
And then having a proven formula that just kind of works with people.
Exactly.
That always amazes me. You built this amazing system.
Going back to something you said earlier.
Yes.
I don't believe in giving advice unless I have a good system or something to back it up, the practical stuff. So my book, my course, it's all based on things that I've gone through, things my clients have gone through, how we've gotten through it, and what we use, what practical tools are we using that we can say is a tangible outcome that I could write down or think about or whatever. Because a lot of the woo-woo stuff out there is, oh, just think differently. No, you got to do the work. You got to have the right mindset. Right, exactly. So there's got to be practicality with it.
I love that. I agree with that. Like you have to do the work. So many people are kind of like, oh, well, I'll make it somehow. I'll just float on by here. But you really have to do such deep work, like in yourself or your business. I mean, the outcome is so phenomenal once you do that work. What you can do, what you can achieve, who you can be is beautiful. And like you were saying earlier, that actually I saw this meme earlier that someone posted about, don't try to sell something that you haven't been through, that you haven't done yourself.
Exactly.
And that makes more and more sense to with talking here with you.
Exactly. I mean,
you've done it, you went through it.
Right. I mean, you could find a coach who tells you this is what you should do, but did you do it yourself?
And you
99% of the things in my book, I've done myself. In my course, I've done myself. And the 1%, it was something I suggested to somebody else, worked for them, and then I did it myself. So it's like,
Well, yeah, can you try and do things yourself? People feel that. They see that sense of like, what is it, what I'm looking for? They feel that from you when they're talking with you. They're
Right.
like, okay, you've gone through this. You get where I'm at. You understand what I'm going through. They're not just
Yeah.
talking a bunch of crap to you or, oh, this works for 100 people, work for you kind of thing.
Right, right, exactly. I don't believe in cookie cutter. I don't
Here we go.
believe,
Yeah.
that's what, boom, 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 do it this way and it'll work. No,
I went through so
there's
many
going to
of
be
those
trial and
times.
error in it. And that's where coaching comes in. Okay, so you tried A, it didn't work. Let's try D. Let's try F. Let's try Y. Who knows what's going to work for you?
That is so invaluable. That is true coaching, true advising, true consulting. That is the depth and the heart of it, what it actually is.
Right. Yeah,
I
absolutely. To
love that you
me,
said that.
I look at a coach, a good coach is somebody, number one, is an accountability partner, right? And by that, I mean, it's very easy to be accountable to your wife, to your boss, to your kids, to your family, to whoever. But are you accountable to yourself? No. Most of the times you'll rationalize that it's okay not to do things. And to me,
Yeah, we
rationalize
do that.
is really two words: rational lies. Rational lies. Now I've copyrighted that, so you can't just take it there.
How much do I owe you?
But the idea is, now people are saying, what does he mean by that? Okay, I wake up today and I just don't feel like exercising. Right? I don't feel like exercising. Now, if you push yourself through it, 10 minutes into it, you go, I'm glad I did this.
Every day.
Right? But if you go and you go, I'm just too tired, I didn't sleep. Is that the truth? Or is that you finding a way to rationalize it and tell yourself a rational lie? Now that you know that, you could say to yourself, is it a rational lie? And if it is, what am I going to do about it? I'm still not going to exercise? Great. At least you know you're being honest with yourself about it. Or, oh, it is a lie, and I'm going to do something about it, and I'm going to go downstairs or whatever and exercise anyway.
You can only lie to yourself for so long before you just start feeling like ashamed and like, damn, okay, something has to be done here.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that kind of like goes along with like a lot of those habits that are put into place are through discipline, not motivation. A lot of people understand the differences between discipline and motivated. You're not going to always be motivated, but discipline is like putting those things, those habits in place that you do all the time without thinking about it. That's the discipline you build to
Right.
create those habits.
Right. One of my mentors, I'm not going to say it right, but you'll get it. Discipline is the bridge to success.
Damn, shut up. That is so true.
I don't know if that's the exact quote, but it's close enough.
Yeah, I like that. Discipline is the bridge to success. And the motivation of what burns it down? No.
You could be motivated, but are you inspired? Without inspiration, you don't get motivation.
I've learned for myself, I've learned that because that could take so much motivation, so much inspiration. And then you're just like, yeah, I'm inspired for 30 seconds. Then you're like, well, that passed. Now what? Truly an honor having you on here. It's been actually amazing talking with you about your coaching program, learning so much about you. Truly amazing. I love connecting with other human beings.
This has been fantastic. I've had a great time with you, Justin.
Thank you. Before we get going here, is there anything that you would love to leave the audience? Like maybe some steps or things that they can do and also how they can reach out to you to better their lives.
So first thing is I'll tell you how you can reach out to me. I made it very simple. You can go to connectwithmartin.com.
Really? I don't believe you. No.
You go there, you can find my book, you can find the other things I sell. You could also find things for free. Like you could download the Cycle of Ace. You can download a little bit of that and get a worksheet and how to use that. And some other things. A bunch of free stuff there. How about a coloring book for adults?
I want a coloring book.
Okay. Connectwithmartin.com. That's number one. So what do I want to leave you with? I want to leave you with this. I want you to wake up tomorrow morning, find a good notebook, and write 3 things you're grateful for. And do that every day. I bet you'll start realizing that you're not complaining as much as you were. Because you start to appreciate the things around you. And then here's a fun one you can do. Go out and make somebody laugh every day. And when you do, like if you're in the supermarket and you're on the line and you make the cashier laugh, both of you will forget about it a nanosecond later, right? But what if you turn to the cashier and say, thank you for helping me fill my quota to make somebody laugh? They're going to like, what? Now you made a quick connection with that person.
Ooh, that's
And then you could
powerful.
say, pass it on to someone else.
That reminds me of Pay It Forward.
Pay it forward. Great movie.
Oh, I quote that in my life so much. I like how you put
So that's what I got.
Well, thank you, Martin, so much for your wise wisdom and your years of experience bringing that to us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.